Hey everybody, how you doing? This is Jeff from the New England Raider Booster Club, acting president. Just checking in here. We're gonna do just a little free forum. If anybody wants to come in and start messaging me, I'll answer any questions. Pretty much gonna talk about Raiders, especially here on the East Coast. Being an East Coast Raider fan, see what everybody's take is on things with the Raider Nation right now. I know things aren't the best. People aren't feeling that great about things. As far as what's going on with play calling, um, just the overall feeling on the situation with the team right now. I know everybody's got their own opinion as to what's going on and how everybody feels about the current situation. You know what we're doing, um, how we've been playing in general. Um, so this is the first time going live by myself on here. My partner from our Raiders Coast to Coast show should be coming on at some point tonight too. He's actually on the road going to the Raiders game this weekend. He's in Cincinnati. I think his plane just landed about 20 minutes or so ago. So when he gets to the hotel, he's probably gonna jump in for a little bit too and share his thought on things too and see what the vibe is like in Cincinnati. You know, I guess he told me in the text that his plane ride from LA to Cincy had a ton of Raider fans, which obviously everybody knows we travel well when it comes to the Raiders on the road. So it'll be interesting to see what's going on out there in Cincinnati while he's out there. But just kind of get things started. Those of you that don't know who I am or what's going, where I'm from and what's going on. Again, my name's Jeff. I'm the current president of the New England Raider Booster Club over here on the East Coast. I'm stationed out of Rhode Island. Uh, we've got a booster club that was actually um, um, officially recognized booster club of the Raiders when we were in Oakland. We used to have a direct contact with the Raiders. The Raiders used to promote booster clubs in the country or pretty much anywhere because there were some overseas also. But since they moved to Vegas, they don't really deal with the booster clubs anymore. So it's a little bit different as far as the relationship with the Raiders, like the booster clubs used to have. So right now, we're still an organization. We still have members in the entire New England area. Most of our members are from Rhode Island, but we've got Massachusetts, Connecticut, New Hampshire, Vermont, Maine. We've got some from New York. We do have a one or two from Connecticut, and we've got some that actually lived here in Rhode Island, but have moved back out to the West Coast and live in California at different stages in California, um, at different locations in California. So we are a fairly known booster club. We've run tailgates at certain away games for the Raiders, whether it be when we've gone to New York to play the Jets, the Giants, Buffalo. We've gone to Buffalo and done tailgates up there, pregame parties. We've also worked when we've gone to the Giants. We've worked hand in hand with the Jersey Shore Booster Club. I don't know anybody that knows the Jersey Shore Booster Club. Terry Russell is the president there. She's a fabulous, fabulous person. She's helped this club out in many ways in the past too, and given us ideas. They've been around for a long time. I think, they just had their 30th anniversary. Now we just celebrated our 20th anniversary this year at the start of the season. Um, so we've got a decent following. People are, our club is a well-known club. We started in 2004. It was founded pretty much by Jason Goff, who was our president for the last 20 years. And he felt as though after 20 years, it was a good run and it was time for him to step down. So he did so. And me being the vice president at the time, I've taken the reins of the club as far as stepping up and becoming the president. We've got an excellent set of members on our board. It's just like any other organization. We have president, vice president, we have a secretary, a treasurer. We have what we call three executive directors or executive board members. They are part of the voting on the executive board when we have to appropriate funds for whatever it may be. Um, we do annual fundraisers throughout the year as part of a booster club. That was one of the things that we used to have to do, or still do, to become a requirement for a booster club. Is we would have to do a certain amount of our collected dues from the members and put it towards donations for charitable organizations. The one we work hand in hand with on a regular basis is the Tomorrow Fund here in Rhode Island. We usually have a pool tournament that we do at Bo's Billiards in Warwick, Rhode Island every year, usually in the month of May is when we have that pool tournament. And any funds that we generate from that, we donate to the Tomorrow Fund. We do other smaller um, fundraisers or donations for other organizations. Like we've got one that's going on currently that we are selling tickets for a New England Raider Booster Club neon sign. So the logo is right here, as you can see. It's a skull and crossbone, just like the Raider sheet, or the Raider logo, basically. But instead of swords, it's a sickle and a battle axe. It was actually a logo that was done by our president's friend when he was in college. He'd had that logo done up probably about 8 years before the club was even formed. So he had this vision a long time ago to set this club up, and is the primary driving force behind this club is Jason Goff. So this logo is synonymous with our group or our club, and that has been our logo since day one, and will continue to be our logo going forward until eternity. Um, so, with that said, with that logo, I had that made into a looks like a neon sign, but it's actually LED lights with our booster club, and we're selling raffle tickets for it for a fundraiser for Rhode Island Roadie Home Rescue or Road Home Rescue. Sorry, and they are a charitable organization that works with adopting or putting up, bringing dogs up from the southern part of the country, fostering them up here and putting them up for adoption for residents up in this area or anybody that wants to adopt a dog. So they're always looking for help with whether it be toys for the dogs that they have up here, food, but we're doing a donation with the funds that we generate from the sales of the tickets for that for that sign. So that's a little bit of a background on what we are as a club for the New England Raider Booster Club. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put up a couple of links here of what we do, not so much what we do, what we have set up for our website and for our YouTube. So this is our YouTube channel. I've primarily been trying to do content for the YouTube channel for with images and video of us getting together on Sundays to watch the game. Now on Sundays when it's game time, we usually meet at the Providence Fireman's Hall in downtown Providence, Rhode Island. And the members come in and we watch the games there as a group. And we enjoy the good and the bad. It hasn't been much good lately. It's been primarily bad, unfortunately. Um, so we try and do posts or make content for the channel with things that go on that day. Also, uh, I tried starting a new feature on there of interviewing members from the club, so people get the chance to really know who the members of the club are. Like asking them questions like how long they've been in the club, how did they hear about it, what's their known past history with the Raiders, like who's your favorite player, such like that. And the questions would be different based on each person we interview. It's just the last few weeks, um, mainly because the last week I was supposed to do an interview like an idiot. I forgot to put the SD card in the camera, so we had everything set up. I was going to interview our one of our executive director members, Tony Ramos, but we went to turn the camera on, and it said that there was no room on the storage for the camera. And I'm looking at it, and I'm like, that's why SD card was still in my transfer portal at home in order for me to transfer it over to my PC or to my laptop. So basically, we couldn't do the interview. And with the next couple of weeks, there's a special event going on there this Sunday, so not a lot of members are going to be at the bar. And obviously next week we got our bye week. So hopefully I want to start getting back to doing the interviews. But there's also something else that we've started doing a collaboration with a gentleman from the West Coast, goes by the name of LV Raider 10, who should be getting on hopefully soon once he's settled in the hotel in Cincinnati where he's at right now. But we're going to do a weekly feature. We're going to do a weekly. Sorry, we're going to do a weekly feature on there. Sorry, my dog's barking in the background. A leaf probably blew by the window. She barks at anything and everything that comes near the house. Now we're going to do a weekly feature. It looks like we're going to do it on Wednesday nights at about 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock East Coast time, where we review the game before, after the, like that. So we do it on a Wednesday. So we'll review, like next Wednesday, we'll review Sunday's game between us and Cincinnati. And then the rest of the show, we'll also talk about the next game up. But in this case, we've got a bye week next week. So it'll probably pretty much be like an open forum at that point. And we do this live. This isn't recorded. And then we put it out there. We'll be doing this live every Wednesday night. So anybody that wants to come on in, you know, partake in it, post messages in the chat. We'll answer any questions that come up, just like tonight. And if anybody's got any questions, anybody that's watching it, if anyone's got any questions, feel free. Post your questions. We'll try our best to answer them. If we don't know the information, we'll look it up. I'm not going to shoot from the hip and say, oh, I think this is it. I tend to know more about the past history. I mean, I know about the current stuff too, but I've been a Raider fan for a long, long time, so I've seen a lot with the Raiders through the years. Um, so again, that's what we try and do with that YouTube channel, is to make us more accessible to the members so that they are more aware of what's going on. And then anybody in general, which is why I've been putting us out on YouTube, is to get more people interested on the East Coast that don't even know that the Raiders have an organization like this on the East Coast, that, we all get together and watch games. One gentleman that just joined our first game of the season didn't know anything about us until about a week or two beforehand, and I talked to him personally on the phone, and I gave him all the incomplete lowdown on what goes on with the club, what we do, and he was psyched. He was excited. He couldn't wait, for the anniversary party. So when he first showed up and then saw everybody was there, we had a tremendous turnout for this. I mean, the amount of people that showed up was just awesome. Couldn't ask for a better day that day. Um, so he was just floored by what was going on and that we even existed in this area. Um, so there's plenty of fans out there that are Raider fans that don't know that there's an organization, or even just a group of like-minded fans that get together and watch these games together like we do. So we're out there. We're there. We just need to find the fans that want to show up and spend their Sundays with us, in misery or in happiness when we win, which is obviously far and few between. But I know the team's trying their best, but lately hasn't been the best of things. But um, so that's what this is. This is trying to get more people interested in what's going on with the club. So we also do have an Instagram. So there is an Instagram account out there for the Booster Club. Um, we're trying to add as much content to that as possible. Again, it's another way of keeping the members of the club engaged as to what's going on. So there's the link there for it. You definitely, if you click on that, that should pull it up for you. We also have a Twitter account. So that's the current Twitter account right now also. Um, we do have TikTok. So we are on TikTok. Um, that's fairly new for us. Now, if you go onto it, you're going to see, we've got quite a few followers. That grew fast. Instagram grew pretty quick. We're up over 600. Instagram grew fast. We started that from zero. Um, and I was impressed at how fast that kicked off. Um, TikTok, it was partial um, followers from a TikTok that I had from something I was doing on YouTube on a personal level. So I converted that TikTok over to the club one, and I have somebody helping me with that. That's a heck of a lot more proficient in TikTok. I don't know TikTok that well, but I've got one of our executive board members. His girl Jess is the one that's been handling that one a lot. So and she's doing a great job, and she's really kicking the numbers up on that. And getting back to Instagram, that gentleman that I said that joined the club on the anniversary day, he's big in Instagram, so I've got him working with me also to help promote the Instagram and grow that. And like I said, we grew that one pretty fast. And we also have a Facebook page. Now, if you go to that, that'll take you to our Facebook group page where it is a private group on Facebook. But if you want to join, you click on the join. And what I do is I'm usually one of the ones that approves or disapproves. But if you join for or if you go into it, what we usually do is we'll look at your profile and we'll see what's available, like what you have for pitches, and prove that you're a Raider fan, basically, because we're not going to let somebody in that ends up being a Chiefs fan as a complete dingus on the chat or on the Facebook page and start posting dumb shit. So if you're a Raider fan and it shows in your pitches or in your profile that you're a Raider fan, then we'll gladly let you in and we'll add you to that group. And that's where we pretty much post all our events that we're doing, whether it's fundraisers or any events that we do during the off season. Like we always try and schedule. We've got the pool tournament that we do. We usually have a summer barbecue. We have a mini golf tournament, usually in June or July. Um, when the Pawtucket Red Sox was still here in Pawtucket in Rhode Island, we used to go to that, or we used to go to the P Bruins all the time too, as a collective group. So we try and keep members involved even during the off season by doing these events that keeps people interested or keeps members interested in the in the club and in the Raiders, because you can remember when the season's over, for us it's usually over the last week of the season. But when NFL season ends, that's it. That's a long layoff from the end of the NFL season to the start of training camp where things start kicking into gear. Yeah, there's the draft and everything, but if we've got unless we have a high pick, or an early pick, I should say, there's not much interest in the draft a lot of times as a Raider fan, because there's not much to get hyped about, because we're usually right at the cusp of being able to grab a top-notch player that's going to make an impact. So sometimes it's not as much to do during the off season. So which is why we create these events to keep members engaged and keep them coming around, and like, don't forget that we still exist, and we don't forget as executive board members that the members exist too. So keeping them engaged and coming back r- has them come back at the start of the season every year. So that's a little bit of a lowdown on the Booster Club and what we do for our members and what we do for the community. So, I mean, we try our best to stay active within the community and active with our members. And again, which is why we've increased our social media footprint, so trying to do these things like doing this live show. I probably plan on doing one of these a week just for this reason, just to more content for the page and for the club, and for the members to reach out and be engaged and and do things more with the club. So now let's move on and we'll talk about the Raiders a little bit here. Um, this past week, obviously, we lost to the Chiefs, unfortunately. Um, we were in the game. I mean, we were there right up until the end, basically. We had a legit shot to win that game. We should have won that game. Some boneheaded plays that were, or not plays, but calls on the offensive coach side. I mean, that's what it all comes down to. It comes down to the OC's play calling, or I should say lack of play calling, or lack of ingenuity in the play calling. When you get your defense when your defense gets you a turnover and they get the ball down to like the 4, 5 yard line, you're expected to score no matter what team you are or who you are or how bad you are or how good you're expected to score, whether it be 3 points or a touchdown. But when you're down at the 5, there should be a 6 point turn right there. That interception should turn into a 6 point gain for you. But when you run 3 straight running plays up the middle and you either gain no yards or you lose yards, that's that's sad. That's real sad. And when you have your best offensive weapon on the team not even out there for some of those plays, it's like where is the thought process in this? I could go on a rant for this for God knows how long because it's just disgusting to see that. Our defense kept us in that game. Anybody that watched our show Wednesday night on, Raiders Coast to Coast, it's pretty much the same thing I said then. It's like eh, your defense kept you in the game. Your offense doesn't move the ball like it should, but your defense is helping you. They're doing what they're supposed to do. KC is a high powered team. They don't really show it lately because of, they've got their slew of injuries and a lot of their top players are out and everything. But our defense still stepped up and made the plays that they needed to make to keep us in the game. And now it's the offense's turn when they come on the field to say to the defense, all right, thanks. We got it from here. We're going to get 6 out of what you guys just left us with. And we didn't do it. We didn't do it. Brock Bowers was invisible for like the third. He started off great, and comes the third quarter, it's like, did he go home? Where is he? He's not even out here. He was barely even used in the third quarter. When you've got a guy of that talent, when you're on offense, he should not be off the field for an entire series or an entire quarter. You know, you need to build your offensive play calling to use his abilities to help stretch the field, to help keep defenses honest. Because when he's out there, the defenses will react differently because he's such a threat. And when he's such a threat like that, you need to take advantage of it. You can't just say, "Oh, we'll try something different without him." No, it's not. You need him out there. You need to get him out there as much as possible and get the ball in his hands. And even if you use him as a decoy and get the ball to Jacoby, I'm fine with that too. You know, but the kid shows that he can catch the ball. He can catch anything that you pretty much throw anywhere in his vicinity. He's going to get it. And he's going to get yardage after the catch for the most part. You've got this pure raw talent and he's good. Use him. Use him for his ability to make plays and open the field up and open the playbook. Everybody's getting on the whole fire Getsy thing. I'm not saying I'm not on that page, but if he falters this week and we lose to the Bengals and we have a legit shot to beat the Bengals, this is a winnable game for us. There's absolutely no reason why we should lose this game because their offense is good. Our defense, I think, matches up well with them. Not Mixon, Moss. I'm so used to Mixon being there. Moss may not even be in the game. He's listed as doubtful, so there's a good chance he's not going to play. Higgins is probably going to be out again. They're already missing their tackle, Brown, so he's out. So their offense is going to take a little bit of a hit. So they're one legit threat, really. I mean, Chris Brown's a serviceable running back. I mean, he's not great, but he's serviceable. Their only legit threat out there is Chase in the wide receiver position. Other than that, yeah, Burrow's a threat to run the ball and everything, but he's not. This isn't the same Cincinnati Bengals from a couple of years ago. This is like a completely different team. So, excuse me, throat's drying out. This is a completely different um, Bengals team than what we've seen in past years. Hang on a second. I'm sorry. But we're going. Huh. Sorry. Just got a message here. Okay. Excuse me. What was I saying? Yeah. So their offense isn't the same as what it used to be. Their defense is good, but again, this is another situation where I think our offense matches up well with the defense we're going against. Last week, again, Jones is Jones. I mean, the guy's unbelievable. So in this case, I mean, they've got a decent defense, but not one that I'm like, worried about or scared about. But what I'm scared about or what I'm worried about is what Getsy's going to come up with for offensive plays for this. How good is this going to be? Is he going to come in? He needs to come in and do like the old school Raider way. Back when Bolitnikoff and Cliff Branch was out there and Stabler was throwing the ball to him. First play right off the bat, just go deep. Go deep right away. Go deep for Jacoby or hit a slant right across the middle with Bowers. First play. Our first plays are scripted to the point where everybody knows what our first play is going to be. I mean, the guys at the bar are calling it. They're like, "Oh, here we go, first run. We're going to run right away," which is what we do. You know, Ball gets snapped, hand it off to the running back, gets a yard if you're lucky. Occasionally, he may break one. The running back may break one for a little bit, but 9 times out of 10, it's a stop at the line. We don't have that type of offense where we're guaranteed to get 5 to 10 yards on that first play with a running play because everybody knows we're going to run it first. So stretch the field first play, just boom, go for it. Why waste our time trying to keep running all the time? Because if you come out throwing right away, the other defense, the Bengals defense or any defense we play is going to take a step back. And oh, okay, well they didn't do what we thought they were going to do. They did something different. Okay, so they're going to try and throw the ball on us today. So now it makes the defense honest. Then they have to play for the pass, which then opens your run game. Do some more play action passes. We don't do enough play action. We don't do enough. Um, we don't do enough screens either. This is a get right game for us this weekend. There's no two ways about it. This is a get right game. You know, when you have one of these type of games with the team that you're playing against, this is what you're looking for. You've got a team that used to be top notch in the league, and they're not right now. Take advantage of it. Do something different. You know, just like I said, come out and just shock them. But it's Getsy. It's not going to happen. He's going to come out and do the same crap. Going to come out, run the ball up the middle one first play, and then just leave it at that. It's like, what a waste! It's a waste of talent. You're not using your players to the fullest, to their fullest ability. You know, everybody says, well, how come Minshew was so great in Indianapolis? Well, I'll tell you why he was so good in Indianapolis is because you got to remember that offense was geared for Richardson last year. He gets hurt. So your offensive coordinator in Indy changes the plays to adapt to the talent of the quarterback and his skills, his abilities. Getsy doesn't do that. At least in my opinion, he's not doing that. Getsy's system, again, with the zone blocking and the way that he runs things, his plays are developed to be for a pocket quarterback. I'm not saying Minshew's not a pocket quarterback, but you can't do that when you've got a line that can't protect for him to give the plays time to develop down the field, like give your receivers a chance to get in position to make the play. You can forget timing routes with that because it's not going to happen because our O line cannot secure the defense or the rushers long enough for Minshew to have that chance to survey the entire field, which is why he has to scramble a little bit, or he's going to throw the ball all the time out of bounds and just take the down, but don't get sacked. You know, so you need to adapt your playbook to what you have for your ability for your players on that team. You got to work around your quarterback. If you've got a scrambling type quarterback, okay, that's totally different. But Minshew's not known as a scrambling quarterback. I mean, you saw it this past weekend. He takes off running, and instead of diving for those 2 yards to get the first down, he slides. He slides 2 yards short. We don't get the first down. We don't. We end up having a punt. 2 yards, dive. Put your body out there a little bit, dive. Or stay upright and run. You hit a defender hard enough as you're running, your momentum's gonna take you forward enough unless you hit somebody the size of a defensive end or a tackle. You're not gonna win that battle, but you're going up against a D-back or even possibly a linebacker, you're gonna fare up pretty even with a linebacker, and you're still gonna get some forward momentum to get that first down, but he won't do that. People talk about business decisions and not playing for the team. That's one right there. You're not willing to put your body on the line to make that play. Now, I know some people say, well, I could see him not wanting to get injured and everything. Okay, I get that part. But again, it's one play. It's first down. That could have changed the game right there. What should have changed the game though was that getting a touchdown when we get the ball down to the 5 yard line. That's just unbelievable how that didn't even happen. But so, I mean, I don't know. It looks like we've got one viewer. I don't know who it is. Nobody said anything yet. But that's my thought on this week's game. Our defense is our defense. Max is going to do what Max does. He's going to disrupt to the best of his ability. It sucks that we don't have uh, Wilkins. I wish we had him because I'm telling you, we would have won this past game if we would have had him in there. Because if you would have had the two of them, now granted, Wilkins is in there to stuff up the center or the middle of the defense and disrupt the running coming up the middle, and to put his body in the way and make things happen. You know, Tyree is playing a little bit better. He still obviously needs to grow a little bit more and mature a little bit more to have a more of a bigger impact on the defense, but he's getting better. Spillane, I know he's on the injury list this weekend, but he's gonna play. He's not gonna sit out. He's like Max Crosby. It takes a lot for Max to miss a game. I know he missed one earlier this year, but still, it takes a lot for Max to want to or to have to miss a game because of an injury. So I think our defense is still going to be okay. Our biggest factor is going to be if Burrow's got the time to throw the ball, he's going to get it downfield the best he can to Chase, and that's where our defensive backs have to come into play, and they gotta wear him like a glove. They gotta be on him because the kid is so athletic and has such an ability and speed to make plays happen on his own. We have to be on him like white on rice. They have to be on him. Um, and the other thing is, I mean, Burrow doesn't throw. I said this the other night on our Coast to Coast show. Burrow doesn't throw interceptions. He's thrown, I think we said it was three. I think he's thrown three interceptions the entire season. Whereas this past week, Mahomes has thrown an interception every game this season, and we got one of them, so Burrow does not throw interceptions. So whether we're ball hawking out there or not, Burrow doesn't take those kind of risks. He's a smart player, but he's also got his normal receivers minus Higgins, obviously. Whereas Mahomes doesn't have his full complement. Now, I know DeAndre Hopkins, his first game was Sunday with the Chiefs, and he did what he did. He didn't have a superstar day, but he contributed enough to have an impact for the Chiefs. You know, but That's pretty much my take on this. Special teams, special teams are our special teams. I mean, our punt is top notch. Carlson is still one of the better kickers out there in the league right now. So you get him in his range, he's going to hit whatever, he's going to hit that. That's going to happen. It all depends on the weather in Cincinnati. I haven't seen what the weather's supposed to be like. It all depends on type of, the wind and everything. If the weather's going to be cold, rainy, snow, well, not snowy, but you never know. I mean, it snowed a few years ago on Halloween here on the East Coast. Um, but again, it all depends on the weather conditions when it comes to kicking field goals. So our special teams are, like I said, our special teams. So as far as this week's game, I think that's not much more I can say that everybody else has been saying. I mean, at this point, still my biggest thing going into this, I'm not on board with the whole let's fire AP thing. I'm not there yet. And I don't think not ever. I don't think I will be there at all this season. Not at all. Because it's his first year as a head coach, as the head coach. I know he took over at the end of the season and he had 7 or 8 games and he kind of proved himself there, but the players played for him. I always say until the coach loses the locker room, I think the coach still has a shot of sticking with the team. So right now, he still has that locker room because if he didn't have the locker room, the defense wouldn't have played like they did this past weekend. They went out there and they played their asses off. Max is still getting held no matter who we're playing. That never goes away either. So the team is still playing for him. Now I wish his coaches would do a little bit more for them, like Getsy. But again, that's also AP's. That's on AP because it's up to him to say to Getsy, excuse me, to say to Getsy, dude, switch some things up. Let's be a little bit more um, flashy or experimental in your plays. Do something a little bit different here, because the status quo is not working. It's just not doing it. So you need to make some changes. You know, if it means switching up your player personnel. I mean, the one good thing about this weekend I'm looking forward to is JP is going to be playing center. Um, so he's going to be the starting center. I know he played center this past weekend for a good part of the game, and he played great. Again, I'm a big fatty old lineman. That's my forte when I played. Whether I played in high school or I played semi-pro, I played center and semi-pro. So I love my old lineman. You know, I like what I see out of this kid. So I am all for all for and in favor of him staying at center from here on out. And I think he's going to do a good job at it. You need somebody with his intensity. Like I said it the other day on one of the shows I was on, that a few weeks ago, one of the refs in the middle of the game had to tell JP like, "Don't be so aggressive." No, fuck you, ref. Don't be aggressive. That's what we need. We need that. We need a player that's aggressive. We need a player like him with his mentality, that old school Raider mentality, where it's that old smash mouth football. That's what you need. You need that. You don't need to be sitting there and saying, "Oh no, don't be so aggressive." No, bullshit. Don't no. No. Hit him. Do whatever. If you go from the time the ball is snapped till the time the whistle blows, unless you're doing something blatantly wrong or you get penalties over and over for the same thing, okay, then no dumb penalties. That again, another thing that kills us too is dumb penalties. So I'm excited for this weekend. I really hope that we can pull this one off. I don't see us. I don't see why we can't. It's a totally winnable game. Um, but again, it's the same old thing. We're still stuck in that rut of scripted plays. Doesn't stop. It just I don't know. I just Uh, I don't know what else to say about that. Is it time for Getsy to go? Yeah, I think so. I think regardless of what happens this week, I think it might be time for him to ship out, you know, because if AP can't get him to change things up, then why is he even here? What's he even doing? I mean, I said it the other night on our Coast to Coast show. Um, he doesn't even carry anything with him. Like he doesn't have like you see some of these other coaches, they have that laminated sheet. Looks like they got a Denny's menu in front of them. He doesn't carry anything like that. So like as a play's being called, because he's hearing it in his headset. He's hearing the play that's being called. He's not even looking it up on the sheet saying, "Oh, this is the one we're running right now." All right. And then pay attention. If it doesn't work, and then you hear them call that again, say, "It didn't work the last time. Why can't we change this up?" That's totally on AP for not getting on his OC's ass or even on his DC's ass if something's not working on the defense side. I mean, you're a defensive player, defensive minded coach from the get-go, AP. Now I'm talking to you directly. It's your responsibility as the head coach to direct your other coaches to make changes if needed. I equate this now to it's like any other job. You have a manager, you have a boss. If you're in like a first responder, I did a lot of time with the fire department, for years. And it's just like you have your officer, then you have your chief. Your chief is in charge. That's your head coach. Your officer is like your DC or OC, and your chief tells him, "All right, go do this and get it done. Make this change. We tried that way. It didn't work. Let's try something different. Let's not go with the status quo, the norm thing. Let's change things up. There's another way to do the same type of job or to get the same result, but a different way to do it. Let's try that. Let's see what we can do." And that's what needs to happen here. I know it's gonna fall on deaf ears. I don't have a direct line to AP. No one does. Well, I'm sure some do. I don't. I'm some nobody on the East Coast in Rhode Island that's just a Raiders fan, and I have been since the '70s. And this is just my observation. I mean, if the fans are seeing this, how is it not being seen by the coaches? I just it blows my mind. I don't get it. Now I see I got a viewer in here. I mean, I don't know who you are. If you want to speak up, you got any questions? I mean, you want to say anything? Go for it. Say something. I'm here. If you want to come in the channel, I mean, you want to come in and get on camera, I'll bring you in with me. We can split the show. I'll talk, you talk. I don't know if you're a Raider fan or not. I mean, but you know, it, luckily after this week, we got our bye week. And that's the time to make some additional changes. Now, do I think we're going to get rid of anybody like in the trade deadline? The trade deadline's Tuesday. I don't see us losing it. Max is not going anywhere. I know people have been talking about, oh, Max wants to get traded. Oh, we need to trade him. You don't get rid of Max. You get rid of Max, the season is done. I mean, you have no shot. And that will set us back even more. Just like the hiring of McDaniels. I've said this before. Hiring McDaniels set us back 5 years just when we hired him, not 5 years after he was gone. From when he was hired, that set us back because he took a team that was good, that had a lot of serious potential to move forward in the ranks and to move up and to really fight for the division. And he destroyed that team. The way Carr was done dirty, that still to this day, I'm not a big Carr supporter fan. It's just the way it was handled. It wasn't handled right, in my opinion. He should have been. If you don't want him to be a quarterback, fine, I get it. But he was done dirty. That for a player that gave you 10 years or 9 years at the time of his career, who was loved being a Raider, loved being here, loved playing with us. We bring in his friend, his buddy Devontae to be, you know, his main target on offense, and then you don't even wanna stick with him. You wanna let him go, and then what killed me was the replacement you brought in for him, Jimmy Garoppolo, or I call him Glass Roppolo because he's always injured. He's as fragile as a piece of glass. That's your upgrade? You sit there and you used to tell us that, "Yeah, we're gonna upgrade a quarterback," and you go from Carr to him? I mean, that was by far a downgrade. We took a hit on that one. He didn't even play the full season. He was injured. So you had no Carr. You had Garoppolo. Garoppolo starts. He gets hurt. And now we're back to scrambling to who's gonna play, what's gonna having Aiden O'Connell come in last year, thrown into it like he was, it wasn't fair to him either, but the kid still played. And I thought he did pretty good. He showed promise. So when AP took over and he named him the starter right from the get-go, I felt, okay, so we're gonna see what this kid, Aiden O'Connell's got. And I kinda liked what I saw. I thought he had poise back there as a quarterback. I wish he wasn't injured and we still had him playing right now because I'd rather have him than Minshew. I'm sure a lot of other people, everybody I've talked to has said the same thing. They'd rather have him than Minshew. So it's like we took that downgrade. Then we went back up again after we benched Garoppolo and kept O'Connell in there last year. And they had a decent rest of the season, you know? But our biggest thing now is what do we do at quarterback? You know, I hope that they've come up with something. I don't hold much hope for this because I just see how Getsy is. Have some set plays for Ritter and like they did last week. They brought him out, offensive penalty on the line, false start or what if I remember whatever it actually was. And then they took him back out, put Minshew back out there, and we never saw Ritter again. I was excited when Ritter came out because I'm like, all right, well, obviously we've got a set play that we're going to bring him out here for. Let's see what happens here. Let's see how this goes. You know, went nowhere. It wasn't even Ritter's fault. It's not like he went out there and screwed up. It was something on the offensive line. So I hope there's more chances for Ritter to get into the game to kind of throw a little spark, just give a little something in there. We need that. We need that bad. But I can't wait for O'Connell to come back. I'm hoping he's back after the bye week, you know. But my suggestion or what I'd like to see happen is during the bye week, Ritter get all the first team snaps. If you know that O'Connell's gonna be coming back by the week after the bye week for the was it Miami? I think we're playing Miami that week. For that Miami game on the 17th, then let Ritter let Ritter get the snaps in practice for the next 2 weeks. Let him get all the first team snaps. Give him time to work with that first team. So when you bring him in for special plays, if O'Connell is back as your starter in week in on the 17th, he's already got familiar. Oh my God, he's used to everybody on the offense. He's got that familiarity. Oh my God, why can I not talk tonight? He's got that rapport. There we go. I'll switch that up. He's got that rapport with the offense, with the first team, so they can have that time to gel for the 2 weeks during the bye week. So when he comes in for a special play, or if he just impresses the coaches that much where he takes over and he does good in his first whatever. I mean, there's no telling what's going to happen the rest of the season. We already all know that Minshew's not the answer. Minshew was supposed to be that stopgap quarterback. Bring him in, let O'Connell sit behind him, Let him learn because yeah, Minshew is granted he's doesn't have a ton of years in the league as difference from AOC, but he's got enough time playing in a pro level, pro teams to not so much mentor, but to help a young quarterback like O'Connell along. So that was supposed to be the plan. Was Minshew was going to be that stopgap quarterback, come in and start, let O'Connell sit behind him, let him learn the system a little bit more, let him get more comfortable in playing the position for the Raiders in the scheme that we're running. And then when you feel comfortable, then make the switch, put him in, take Minshew out, and go from there. But that's not what happened. O'Connell was not doing good. The team wasn't doing good. I don't know how much of it really. I don't think a lot of it was O'Connell's fault. But then once he got hurt, that was it. You know, well, sorry, Minshew started. Then O'Connell came in because Minshew was just stinking up the joint, and then O'Connell went and got hurt, unfortunately, and then therefore that forced our hand, or forced their hand to put Minshew back in, while O'Connell goes through, you know, his rehab and getting better after breaking his, damaging his thumb. So I'm kind of hoping that O'Connell is ready to go once they come back from the bye week. Other than that, who knows what's going to happen? You know, like, is there still a chance that, is there still a chance that Minshew's going to be starting after that? Yeah, there's still a chance. But we'll see. You know, now also deadline's Tuesday for the draft, for the trades, the trade deadline. I don't see anybody out there that I think would help this team immensely right now. I mean, anything we can get at this point would probably definitely help. Um, I think the one glaring need would be an offensive lineman. I don't, I don't feel as though we need another wide receiver right now. I think what we have now is serviceable. Our secondary, I they're good. I'm not worried about the secondary too much, but we still need that bona fide opposite end from Max. Wilson's not there yet. He's getting there, but he's not there yet. He needs a little bit more time, is how I feel. You know, maybe the rest of the season starting in that position, playing opposite Max, and then the off season next year, things could change. You know, training camp next year, maybe by the start of next season, he's looking really good, and now you've got a pretty decent pair of defensive ends that can play every snap on defense. And if Wilkins comes back strong from this current injury, and he gets back out there, it just changes things. Our defense will be good. You know, Now as far as quarterback situation in the draft, I hear so many different things on we want this guy, we want that guy. Um, Ward is probably like the only one that I would seriously wouldn't mind seeing us grab. I don't want Sanders. I just it just I just feel like he comes with too much baggage because of the last name. And no, I've got nothing against Deion Sanders. I mean, the guy was a phenomenal player, phenomenal athlete. I'm not taking anything away from him, but there's something about Shador. I can't put my finger on what it is that there's just something I don't feel comfortable with. And it's not that because he's a scrambling quarterback. I have no problem with a mobile quarterback. I think mobile quarterbacks obviously are the way of the way of the current NFL and for the future. That's just the way the position has evolved through the years. It's turned into that. Um, But then I'm also hearing, "Oh, fire AP and hire Dion as the coach." Oh, hell no. You want a father and son, coach and player on the same team? I don't know about that. I honestly don't know about that one. That's, that shit's a little different. I'm not saying that Dion's not a good coach. Again, I have nothing against Dion. I I don't know if he's ready for an NFL head coaching job just yet. Granted, was AP ready for a head coaching job? Probably not, because he hadn't been coaching for that long. Dion has been coaching for a longer time, and in the college ranks. So Dion's been around it a little bit longer as a head coach in the college. Whereas AP wasn't. So I mean, there's the difference right there. Does it mean that college head coaches equate the same as being an NFL coach? No, not necessarily. Because I mean, you've seen some college coaches come into the pros and they're just awful, you know, or they don't last. It doesn't. It I guess the best example of that, I mean, just look at Urban Meyer. They hire him as the coach in Jacksonville, and that was a complete disaster. I mean, he ruined Trevor Lawrence that season. That set that kid back, having him come in there. So that was a bad mix having him come in. You know, um, I mean, Jimmy Johnson, when he came in as a head coach, I mean, it was a different era. The rules were different. The the overall NFL play was different as far as it, how do I want I mean, it was different as far as like running backs were running backs. Now running backs aren't the same in the NFL as they were because again, the league has evolved just like certain players in their position evolves. The running back position has evolved, or I should say de-evolved, because it's not like it was before. Like you're not going to have that every down running back like a Barry Sanders or an Emmett Smith or a Thurman Thomas, you know, Terrell Davis. Those old school running backs like that, those are a thing of the past. If you have one now, it's an anomaly, and it's usually like a one-off type of thing. Like Derrick Henry. He's one of the only ones out there that I consider to be an every down back, other than McCaffrey. McCaffrey's just a different breed because McCaffrey's just lethal from all aspects of the offense, whether it be running, receiving. He's the total package when it comes to a running back now. You know, so I mean, your running back position has evolved, your quarterback position has evolved. Um, I mean, a lot of these positions have changed through the years. As far as the athleticism of these positions, the size of the players. You go back to 80s, 90s, um, your offensive linemen weren't huge. They were 250 to 275 in weight. Now some of these offensive linemen, I mean, Nate Newton was a different breed. I mean, that guy was, just massive. That whole line for the Cowboys was ridiculous then. Your offensive linemen now, they're all 300 plus pounds. They're all big, big boys for the most part. JPJ, he's a big kid. I'm not saying he's fat, but he's a big kid. You know, uh, and they're a lot taller too, I think, than what they used to be. Like your centers used to be shorter. They used to not be as big, like as much weight. Um, Even on defense, you look back at some of these defensive tackles, and they weren't all big, beefy dudes. They were all smaller guys. But again, that's just the evolution of the human body, basically, as far as the nutrition stuff, the working out. It's different now in the NFL than what it used to be. Everything's evolved, just like any other sport. Um, But what's wrong with Nathan is I thought he was going to be on. Sorry. So I mean, there's so much I could talk about right now. I could do this for hours, but I'm sure anybody watching me be bored out of their freaking mind. So I just messaged Nathan to see what he's doing. If he's not going to come on, I'm probably going to get off here in a second. But yeah, I mean, as far as this weekend, I really, really hope we pull this off. We need this win. This is a win we should get. This is a win we need to get. You know, I, we've got the ability to do it. You know, but if anybody's out there, come on in. You know, I'm more than happy to talk to anybody out there. You know, what we got going on here. So yeah, I think I'm probably gonna hop off here. I've talked enough. Been on for an hour now. Didn't think I was gonna be on this long. Thought I was gonna be off a lot sooner, to be honest with you. So maybe next week I'll do the same thing. One day next week I'll just come on and start talking. If people come on and want to chat, I'm here. And I'm all for it. So all right, I am gonna hop off of here, and I'll see you all next week. Check out our show. It's Raiders Coast to Coast. It's a live show with Nathan and I discussing the prior week's game and the game coming up. You know, if anybody's in the channel watching and commenting, we'll answer any questions again. If you have any questions, just post those questions in the chat or any comments, anything you want to talk about. We're here for it. Look forward to seeing everybody Wednesday night. Till then, take care and go Raiders.